السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. All praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious and most merciful, praising His help and forgiveness. And peace and the blessing of His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and dear brothers and Islam. Peace and blessing of Allah be upon you, inshallah. And inshallah tonight we'll continue our journey with Al-Arba'un al-Qalbiyah. And tonight we have to stop with this beautiful hadith, narrated by the same Sahabi that we spoke about him and his story last lesson. Of course you know him and remember him now. One of the greatest Sahabi of hadith. He the most narrator of hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his nickname was the father of the kitten. You remember him? Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu قال عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت، ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم جاره، ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم ضيفه. رواه البخاري ومسلم. Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, let whoever believes in Allah and the last day either speak good or be silent. Let whoever believes in Allah and the last day honor his neighbor. And let whoever believes in Allah and the last day honor his guest. A great advice from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to bring love and compassion and mawadda among the Muslims. And starting with the tongue again. If you remember in the first episode of this series, we spoke about the consequences of the tongue and how this affects our heart. There's a great connection between the tongue and the heart. And there's a lot of hadith to encourage us to refrain from idle talk, from backbiting, and also verses from the Quran, rumors, lies, and all of these bad words that people tend to use these days. I mean, swearing words and bad fahish words. So this hadith also came with the same message to encourage us to be careful what we say. The Prophet ﷺ made a connection between Iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the last day, this is two pillars of the 6 pillars of Iman. To believe in Allah and to believe in the last day. The Prophet ﷺ made a clear connection between these two pillars and restraining your tongue. فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. A great advice from Rasulullah ﷺ to protect what you say, to remember what you say, to think before what you say, and be patient. This has something to do with being patient as well, because when we speak things, when we are impatient, we speak things that we regret later, right? So this hadith contains the rulings concerning the tongue and the behavior of Muslims towards others. It also emphasizes that we are responsible for what we say. And if you remember the hadith of Rasulullah to Mu'adh ibn Jabal, I feel like I keep repeating this one. I love this one. When Mu'adh asked the Prophet ﷺ, are we going to go to hellfire of what we say? The Prophet ﷺ said to him, may your mother lose you, Mu'adh. أَوَلَا يُكَبُّ النَّاسُ فِي النَّارِ عَلَى وُجُوهِهِمْ إِلَّا مِنْ حَصَائِدِ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. Only people will be dragged on their faces on the day of the judgment to hellfire because of what their tongue cultivated. So indeed, yes, we are accountable for what we say. Imam al-Haythami points out that this hadith is very similar to one we mentioned before. None of you will truly believe. Remember that hadith as well? لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. Very famous hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. None of you truly believes until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. Imam al-Haythami says that everyone is a neighbor to someone else. You know, it could be your neighbor in your neighborhood, could be your neighbor here in the class, could be your neighbor in the train, on the bus. This is a neighbor, and he has a right of you, regardless of the nationality or background or ethnicity. This is something Islam was clear about. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advised us to look after the neighbors, He didn't mention only the Muslim neighbors. Right?
Correct.
وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ وَالْجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُبِ وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ. Jari dhil qurba, the neighbor who closest to you, regardless of what he believes in, he has a right up on you. And some scholars says up to 40 neighbors in each direction. Subhanallah, this looks like a whole suburb. It's part of your responsibility. You need to look after that. All right. والجار ذي القربى والجار الجنوب, the one closest to you, door to door, or the one in front of you. والصاحب بالجنب. صاحب بالجنب, the one who, a complete stranger to you, but he sat next to you in a public transportation, on a plane, on a train, on a bus. He has right of the neighbor upon you. Can someone name some of the rights of the neighbors? What are some of the rights of the neighbors upon us? We'll just have a discussion.
Be respectful.
Yes, respect the neighbor. Yeah. Protect the neighbor, yes. From what? Danger. From myself as well. So I don't look at the neighbor, Maharam. I don't look at his wife, his children, alright? Because this is, close to me. So it's much easier. I don't jump the fence and go steal from them. And there's also other hadith that the Prophet ﷺ emphasized that it is the punishment, it's harsher and harder for those who betray the neighbors. Okay, so the neighbors has so much rights upon us. And we have to be very careful with that, regardless of their religion and background. So if someone lives next to you, he has rights upon you. And we saw the Prophet ﷺ how he dealt with his neighbors. So if this hadith properly practiced and applied, then there will be a strong bond and love within the society and the community. Alright, there's two hadith we just mentioned now. فَلْيُكْرِمْ ضَيْفَهُ فَلْيُكْرِمْ جَارَهُ. So the responsibility of the Muslim regarding what he mentioned in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. If we understand the meaning of this ayah, very strong meaning. Everything we utter from our mouth, it will be recorded. Be ready to record it by Raqib and Atid, someone who never miss anything. Those two angels, Raqib and Atid, that follow us everywhere, and they write everything we do and everything we say. Not a word does he utter, but there is a watcher by him ready to record it. In Surah Qaf. There are many hadith which state that the Muslim should be careful about what he says. His words can either, if they are pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or displeasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So sometimes words can take us to higher levels, and sometimes words can put us on the lowest level. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ stated in another hadith, in regard of he was relating a story from Banu Israel. This Banu Israel pious man, he was always going to advise his friend. He was impious, he was a bad person, and he always invited him to Islam. Okay, and one day he got offended because this person never listened to his advice. So he said to him, "You're gonna go to hellfire. I've been advising you, you're not listening to me, you're going to hellfire." So the Prophet ﷺ, what he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was not happy with him, with this pious man. Imagine a pious man, someone who's righteous, someone who does the right thing all the time. And he was trying his best to convince his friend to become pious and righteous and bring him back to the right path. But he did not listen to him. So at the end he told him, "You're going to go to hellfire." So because of making that judgment and saying that to him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished this person in hellfire, as the Prophet said in the hadith. This is from Sunan Abu Dawud. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was not happy with him, and on the day of judgment, Allah punished the pious one and sent him to hellfire and forgive the bad one and sent him to paradise. SubhanAllah. This is the message to all of us. First, don't give up on people that you know that don't do the right thing. Could be your spouse, could be your friend, could be your brother, could be your sister, and you know that they're not doing the right thing. But you need to put efforts all the time. And وَلَنَا فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. We see the Prophet ﷺ and the way he approached his da'wah from the very beginning. How did he approach his da'wah? And all the prophets before him. Salawatu Rabbi wa salamu alayhi. Nuh alayhi salam, for how many years? He called up on his people. 950 years. Not even one day he said, that's enough. Not even one day he says, they're going to go to hellfire. Not even one day he stopped. قال رب إني دعوتهم جهارا ليلا ونهارا ثم إني أعلنت لهم وأسررت لهم إسرارا فقلت استغفروا ربكم إنه كان غفارا. He called up with them day and night. And that means every single day and every single night out of the 950 years. You can imagine how much effort he put and how much patience he had out of the resistance. Not just they were just not listening to him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described in the Quran, وَإِنِّي كُلَّمَا دَعَوْتُهُمْ لِتَغْفِرَ لَهُمْ جَعَلُوا أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ. This is how the Quran described their behavior. Towards who? One of the great prophets of Islam, Nuh alayhi salam. And the Quran says asabi', not banan. SubhanAllah, look at the terminology of the Quran. Allah says asabi'ahum. This is asabi', the whole finger. It's isba' in Arabic. And when we want to block our ears, we only use just the banan or the tip of our fingers, not the whole finger. But Allah says they use the whole finger to block the ears. That means they will never, they have zero intention to listen to him, to even try. So they were firm not to listen to him. To that level. جعلوا أصابعهم في آذانهم واستغشوا ثيابهم. Not just that, they just turn the clothes or cover the faces so they don't look at him and walk away. And sometimes they call him names and make fun of him. To that level. But he did not say anything bad to them. He never gave up on them. And this is a great message to us. We are human. And of course we won't be able to have the quality of the great prophets of Islam, but we'll try to follow the footsteps, especially when we call on those who we love, those we care about, because it's our responsibility. We're going to be asked, And I know there's the story, I'm not sure about the authenticity of the story, but this is like a priest or a rahib in one town, okay, and he worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for many, many years. But that town, none of the people were doing the right thing. They were all corrupted. So Allah sent His punishment to that town. So the angels asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what about this pious man, this preacher? He said, start with him. Because he did not put effort to call people to Islam. So we are responsible. That's what Prophet says in the hadith, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Every one of you is a shepherd and every shepherd is responsible for his own flock. That's for sure. Part of our responsibility to be wise and be gentle in your da'wah. ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. These are the characteristics of a da'i. And every single one of us is a da'i. It's not just the one with the knowledge. It's not the one with who memorized the whole entire Quran. No, it's every one of us. If you see something wrong, you need to act. من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده. Whoever sees something wrong, he should change it with his hand. If he can't, then with his tongue. If he can't, then with his heart. And this is the weakest iman. So every one of us can call for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, following the advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he told us in the hadith, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Go or convey the message from me. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam telling all of us, convey the message from me even if it's just one single ayah. This is how Muslims should act. Day and night. Right? And someone would say, I do bad deeds. I shouldn't be calling people or advising people when I do the wrong thing. This is from Shaitan, Wallah. And I heard Sheikh Sha'rawi today, it was like a short clip. He was talking about this specific thing. You know, don't let Shaitan, manipulate you not to call people to do the right thing, and he always telling you that you're doing the wrong thing. How can you call people? You know? No, you still continue to call people. أصلح نفسك وادعو غيرك. Correct yourself and also call other people to correct themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. We're not perfect. We do mistakes all the time. None of us is perfect. And that doesn't mean we stop from calling people to Islam or da'wah or advising our relatives or neighbors or friends in a beautiful way. Show them this is the beauty of our deen. We are all ambassadors of this deen. We should show this to everyone. And look at the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the verses of the Quran, how beautifully directing us, to be careful of what we say, to be careful what we do, and to look after our neighbors. Okay? So what we learn here from this hadith, that we either say something beneficial, that benefit people, or remain quiet. Okay? And if you, in a situation that you start arguing with someone, you should quit that argument as quick as possible. Don't argue with someone, especially when you know that person or you feel that person is arguing for the sake of argument. He's not arguing to find the truth. The Prophet ﷺ advised us in another hadith to quit argument. Okay? So there is Islamic guidelines which help us to say good things and to refrain from saying bad things or things which displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we talk to others, whether it's relatives, friends, neighbors, etc., we should select the best terms, words, and say them in a nice way. We all know our friends, we all know our cousins and our relatives, and everyone has a key to his heart or her heart, right? This is some skills that we need to cultivate through the da'wah years. You need to understand the person in front of you. You need to find the keys for their hearts so they can listen to you. A way of engagement with them. Because if you can't find this, they will never listen to you. And this is a challenge for many people, especially teachers at school. If they can't find those keys to engage students, they will lose the classroom. They will lose it. Right? So engagement is essential when we talk to anyone, public or private, in classroom, at work. You need to find ways to engage, to get people attention, curiosity. And then when you steer that out and get them curious and engaged, then it's time to talk to them. Right? So we should select the words and terms that match. You can't use the same approach, same methodology with each person. You can't do that. It's called differentiation. When you approach somebody, you can't approach the same people, different people with the same approach. Otherwise, it could be successful for quite a number of people, but it won't be always successful. You might find hard to use the same approach with everyone. Some people you can approach them with, reminding them about Akhirah. Some people can approach them reminding them about, if you do this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your wealth, bless your family. So other ways of approaching and methodology. And this is, in fact, what the Prophet ﷺ did throughout his life. He used different methodologies and teaching strategies. When he was talking to Sahaba, could use direct instruction to some of them. He would tell a story, narrate the story to grab their attention. And for example, the Hadith Jibreel that we mentioned before, that suspense, curiosity to get people engaged. Jibreel alayhi salam came. Remember the Hadith? We talked about it before. When he came, complete stranger to everyone sitting with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the students, the Sahaba, wearing beautiful, nice, shiny white clothes. His hair is jet black. Zero sign of traveling on him. No dust, nothing. And he complete stranger. Where did this man come from? He looks like someone came from space. It's like someone came to this classroom wearing like a space suit. Right? Exactly the same. But it could be the same. You know, this is how the Sahaba reacted to this situation. But look how they were patient and respectful to the Prophet. Jibreel came and asked questions, and to make the Sahaba more curious, he would say to the Prophet after each question, "You tell him the truth." So that, right? The narrator of the hadith, he says, "Ajibna lahu yas'aluhu wa yusaddiquhu." We were amazed about him. We were like more curious about him because he was asking the question and saying to the Prophet, responding to him, he's saying the truth. This is for what? This is to get the key to the hearts of the people so we can talk to them and teach them. And in fact, this is one of the great hadith of Islam, which teach us all about our religion, Islam and Iman and Ihsan, and the signs of the Day of Judgment. Great hadith. As a listener, we have to listen positively and interpret what we hear in a good way. And this is a very critical point, because some people always negative thinking, right? They think bad about people. Whatever they say, whatever they do, they always twist it to interpret it in a bad way. And this is wrong. This is against our Islam. The Prophet ﷺ invite us in the hadith. He said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالظَّنِّ إِنَّ الظَّنَّ أَكْذَبُ الْحَدِيثِ. Be careful with suspicion. You know, when you suspect people to do, when they talk to you, you suspect that they're saying words that doesn't mean the good way, it means the bad way. This is suspicion. You know, you have no evidence on this. Now you're talking about intention, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the intention, not you. And the Prophet ﷺ warned us from this. In the Quran as well. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Make tabayyun, verification, seek clarification before everything happens. Right? Before you take a step, before you react, always seek verification. And be careful with over-interpretation of people thinking or people words, because that will lead to something wrong. And this is how the shaitan, this is the area where shaitan attack you. Yeah? And never try to think, I read between the lines. This is what many people say. I read between the lines. I know what this person means in that way. Okay? It could be feelings. It could be from shaitan. You could be true. But do not react without verification. Yeah. Another thing we should mention today is also when we find ourselves in the middle of a dispute between two people. Always try to say things that try to reconcile between the two parties. Do not put fuel on fire, like they say. Don't go to this person and say this person is bad and this person says this about you, to encourage them, entice them to fight. And we see this a lot among the youth and people. Because for them it's like a joke. They like to see people fighting. But we, as adults, we are more responsible. We need to, especially when we see this among relatives, cousins, aunties, and we see this all the time. Our responsibility to do our best to reconcile. There is a great reward for it. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith, to reconcile between people. Also, another thing in regards to this hadith, if you are consulted about any advice, someone came to you for advice, advise them with what is the best. What would you do if you are in the same situation? Because this is a matter of trust. If you advise them with something that you know that is not good for them, you betray the trust. Be careful with that. So we should keep away as best as we can from unnecessary and non-beneficial talk. Sometimes we get together as a group of people, friends, sat, and we engage in idle talk all the time. Just rubbish all the time. Right? I'm sorry to say that, but this is a fact. All the time we get in a group of people, especially our close friends, we talk nonsense most of the time. Non-beneficial. Right? And there's other alternatives that are by far more beneficial to us. Remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one of the great things that you can cultivate with your tongue. It won't require you to do hard work. It's just your tongue working here. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, encouraging us many times in the Quran. وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَةٍ. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in known days. Okay. The Prophet ﷺ also mentioned in the hadith that to encourage us and to explain to us, there's some words that are very light for the tongue to pronounce. كلمتان خفيفتان على اللسان حبيبتان إلى الرحمن ثقيلتان في الميزان سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان الله. Two words are very light for the tongue to be pronounced, are beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are very heavy on the scale on the day of judgment. They are subhanallah wa bihamdih subhanallah. The more you say it, like if you have a free time, engage into the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember subhanallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember when you get together in a masjid or in a classroom and read the Quran, there's even more reward for those people who get together. فاجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله يتلون كتاب الله ويتدارسونه فيما بينهم. When people get together reading the Quran in the house of Allah, engaging to recitation and pondering over the verses of the Quran, studying it together, إلا غشيتهم الرحمة. The mercy of Allah will be descended upon them. ونزلت عليهم السكينة. The tranquility will be sent over them. A sense of calmness and tranquility you will feel when you sit together and read the Quran. ونزلت عليهم السكينة وذكرهم الله في من عنده. Look at this one. An honorable reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will be sitting with your family or with your friends and reading the Quran. This is another reward, not just for the reading of the Quran. The reading of the Quran itself has other rewards. This is the reward of getting together to encourage us. Not just you sit together on your own. Get people with you. Invite them to come with you so you can all get this unique, beautiful reward, which is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be descended upon you, tranquility and a sense of peace that you will feel. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send upon your hearts and upon your mind and upon your life. And also that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will mention your name to His His honorable angels. A great reward by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You would say, who am I that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned my name? I'm nothing. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned my name to His angels. What a great honor, a great reward for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just by simply sitting together, encouraging people to read the Quran. So, this is just the start. When you sit and read the Quran, every letter you read, 10 good deeds. Right? And وَمَنْ يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ وَهُوَ مَاهِرٌ بِهِ. Hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. Whoever read the Quran and he's excelled in reading it, is perfect, like his recitation is perfect, that means you learned, put effort to learn the Quran. His level will be with the Malaika al-Kiram al-Barara. So his level is high. And whoever reads the Quran and struggle, so this is a glad tidings for those who struggle when they read the Quran, which is a lot of us, majority of us. They're still learning and reading the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ never forget about you. He told you in this hadith that you get double the reward. What other encouragement you need to sit and read the Quran? This is part of the dhikr. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikr. Allah referred to the Quran as dhikr. This is dhikr. This is the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran, the word of Allah. Right? So when you sit and read it and struggle with it, you get double the reward. Wallahu yudha'if liman yasha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiply to whomever He wishes. You don't know. You could be sitting there and reading one surah, and you could have ended up, with mountains of good deeds. Mountains of good deeds. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiply it. Because everything is according to our intention. The more sincere we are when we approach Allah's commandments, when we approach ta'at, the more reward we'll receive in the day of judgment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the hadith Qudsi, which means that my servant will continue to draw closer to me with doing ta'at. Every time you want to draw closer to Allah, increase your effort to perform ta'at. So the more you do that, the more you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And listen what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. When this happened, when you are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, كنت سمعه الذي يسمع به وبصره الذي يبصر به ويده التي يبطش بها. This is just the meaning of the hadith. When you draw closer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala become, not the literal meaning, but become your ears that you hear with, become your eyes that you see with, become your hands that you feel in touch with. Meaning, not the literal meaning, but meaning that your ears will only listen to halal things. Your eyes will only look to halal things. Your hands will only do halal things and touch halal things. Right? And abstain from any doing haram. Imagine that level. Right? Every time shaitan trick you, no, it's blocked already. You are safe. Because you always engage in ta'ah. Always engage in ta'ah. That you are too close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to commit any bad deeds. And it all comes from the tongue and the heart. Because the tongue, we said there's a connection between the tongue and the heart. So there's so many verses of the Quran and a hadith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, the Prophet says in the hadith, من قال لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير في يوم 100 مرة كانت له عدل 10 رقاب وكتبت له 100 حسنة ومحيت عنه 100 سيئة وكانت له حرزا من الشيطان يومه حتى يمسي ولم يأتي أحد بأفضل مما جاء به إلا أحد عمل عملا أكثر من ذلك. What a great hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, we said, لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير every day 100 times. It's easy. You can say that in 5 minutes, right? Look at the reward. It is equal, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, equal of the reward of freeing 10 slaves. 10 slaves that you free for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you 100 good deeds. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take away 100 bad deeds. And not just that, it will be a protection for you on that day and that night. A protection, a shield from shaitan. And no one will come with any good deeds on that day more than this one, except someone did more. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. 100 times. Again, when you say that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you the reward of freeing 10 slaves. And Allah grant you 100 good deeds and will take away 100 bad deeds. And it becomes a shield from shaitan for that day until night comes. And no one will make any good deeds better than this unless someone did more. Did the same and more. But more. And another hadith similar to this one, the Prophet ﷺ says, من قال لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير 10 مرار كان كمن أعتق 4 أنفس من ولد إسماعيل. So if you say only 10 times, equal that you give away or free 4 slaves for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the son of Ismail.
You don't mention the yuhi wa yumit? Or do you?
No, it's not mentioned yuhi wa yumit. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. According to these 2 hadith, there's no yuhi wa yumit in it. But nothing wrong if you want to say that. Because this is a dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said it. But if you want to get this specific reward, you stick to what the Prophet said. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. And the Prophet ﷺ, he says in another hadith, ألا أخبرك بأحب الكلام إلى الله قلت يا رسول الله أخبرني بأحب الكلام إلى الله فقال إن أحب الكلام إلى الله سبحان الله وبحمده. سبحان الله وبحمده, the most beloved words to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most beloved dhikr and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we mentioned the hadith before, كلمتان خفيفتان, and you know the hadith. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رسول أن أقول سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر أحب إلي مما طلعت عليه الشمس. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم says, I would love to say subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. It's better for me to whatever the sun come upon. It means everything in this world. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم says in another hadith, من سبح الله في دبر كل صلاة 33 وحمد الله 33 وكبر الله 33 فتلك 99 وقال تمام 100 لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير غفرت خطاياه وإن كانت مثل زبد البحر. Every time you sit after Salah, you say Subhanallah 33 times, Alhamdulillah 33 times, Allahu Akbar 33 times, and you finish the 99 with La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah lahu al-mulk wa lahu al-hamdu wa ala kulli shay'in qadir. That's 100. You say that, all of your sins will be forgiven, even if it looks like Zabad al-Bahr. Zabad al-Bahr is like the foam comes on the water and the ocean. What we call it? The foam. Yeah, that foam. Imagine it's not just one beach, all over the world. If your sins is as much as that, Allah will forgive it for you. If you say this dua after Salah. SubhanAllah. Very simple, very easy. Great opportunities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Indeed, verily, in the creation of earth and heaven, and the change or the interchange of night and day, are signs for those who have hearts to understand, those who have minds to understand. الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. Those who have minds and hearts to understand are those who remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while they're laying down, while they're sitting, and while they're standing. Okay, these are the characteristics of those who يذكرون Allah, those who remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran also, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. Indeed, you have the best example in Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to be a role model. Okay? And those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and hope for the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as many as they could in their life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that to us, telling us, remember me, I remember you. So the more you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your prayers, in your remembrance, in your dhikr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remember you in a way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He forget about us, no. But in a way, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send lots of barakah, lots of blessing, and forgive you and multiply your good deeds. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. And give thanks to me, and don't be ungrateful. Don't be ungrateful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warning us from being ungrateful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pointed out to us that how many of us, a lot of us that always ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a way we remember Allah, in a way we perform our ibadah, in a way we say thank you, alhamdulillah, throughout our days and our night, we are grateful. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you are to count the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you won't be able to. That means, in another way, that means you should try to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His blessing, because you won't be able to count it all. You should try more. Even though you won't be able to count it, and return it. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ ذِكْرًا كَثِيرًا. O you who believe, remember Allah many times. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a lot. وَسَبِّحُوهُ بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا. And say tasbih, glorify Allah, day and night. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referred to the masajid, في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله. Allah described the believers, those who always remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make sure that put effort to go to the masjid to perform salah, as Allah, this is the houses of Allah. فَبِيُوتٍ أَذِنَ اللَّهُ أَن تُرْفَعَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made sure that these houses of Allah are lifted in a way that are distinguished among all the other places, are highly respected. It's a place of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَذِنَ اللَّهُ أَن تُرْفَعَ وَيُذْكَرَ فِيهَا اسْمُهُ. And for His name to be always remembered in it. Okay? يُسَبِّحُ لَهُ فِيهَا بِالْغُدُوِّ وَالْآصَالِ. People will go and they do tasbih and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala day and night. Okay? In those places, the masajid, رِجَالٌ Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described as رجال, men. لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله. People, they will never be distracted by their tijara, by their business, or بيع, selling, عن ذكر الله, from remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from coming to salah. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jum'ah made an emphasize on Jum'ah, that we cannot miss Jum'ah. It says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله. Or you who believe with the call for Jum'ah, approach you, when you hear the call of Jum'ah, run fast. Or go quickly to the masjid to perform Jum'ah. You cannot miss Jum'ah. فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع. Leave your businesses. ذلكم خير لكم. This is the best thing. Okay? فإذا أفضتم من عرفات فاذكروا الله عند المشعر الحرام واذكروه كما هداكم. This is related to Hajj, but also it's blessed places. The Mash'ar al-Haram, Arafat, Mecca, they are the best places to make dua and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all Hajj and Umrah soon. Soon and not later. So my dear brothers, dear brothers and sisters, today's hadith is a great encouragement for all of us to guard our tongue, because when we do that, we control many bad habits, when we can take care of that tongue. And it always says that some of the Sahaba, that they would hold the tongue in the morning and with their siwak and whip it in the morning. They're saying, just to remind themselves that this organ of their body can destroy the bad things, can ruin their day, can ruin their life. Right? Also, we have to be very careful and gentle when we know someone who is struggling in their life. Someone who's sick, someone who's going through some rough time. We do muwasah. Try our best to go and console them. Help them. I could say one positive word can change someone's life. Depression actually exists in our community, in our life. A lot of people can be depressed and we don't know. And it's our responsibility again to take care of those people, our brothers and sisters. If you know someone who's thinking about suicide, thinking about bad things, want to harm himself or herself, we need to act. But some people, unfortunately, the way they act, they go straight away and make conclusions. They jump to conclusions. They judge. They say, you're touched by jinn. Someone did some black magic to you. So no, it's actually it exists. Depression exists, and it's proven disease. If I can call it disease, I'm not sure if I can call it disease, but it exists. Does exist. A lot of people are depressed in our society, our community. So we need to lend a hand to them and try to support them. You don't want to lose your friend. You don't want to lose someone. So we do muwasa, advise them in a nice way. Again, you need to know the keys for those people when you talk to them or anyone. You can just go and just jump to conclusions and say, because of your bad deeds, this is happening to you. Because you don't pray, this is happening. Yeah, it could be right, but you can't just approach them in that way because it could make it worse for them. So you have to be very smart, very gentle. You could save life by a kind word, by a smile. And this is the characteristic of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he advised us, to smile, to spread positive feelings among everyone. Right? تبسمك في وجه أخيك صدقة. When you smile, it is an act of charity. Okay? A very simple act of life. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to meet people with a smile on your face. You don't know what this smile can do to them. Right? And I know someone, a revert person. She was at uni time, she was struggling with the exams and assignments and the load of work that they have. And every time she see this hijabi sister, which is in her class, she see her calm and smiling and everything. She's been watching her throughout this stressful and rough time for every student at that class. And then she approached her, I see you always laughing and smiling, and we're going through some rough time. We're all stressed. Some people are depressed. How did you get this? And the sister straight away advising her, I had a trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, and she giving her da'wah indirectly. So she got this person, engaged in this conversation. She liked to read more about Islam. She learned the Quran. She started reading. And by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she accepted Islam because of a smile. And this is a true story. I heard it myself from that person who converted Islam. SubhanAllah. Just a smile. Just a smile can change people's life. So we should refrain from saying any bad things. Alhamdulillah. We must refrain from spreading rumors, especially those that will cause harm to the community, slandering, backbiting, etc. Sarcasm and making fun of other people as well. We tend to do that, especially among the youth. All they can do is just make fun of each other. Find a way to abuse each other. And they think it's cool, it's fun. And, they look popular. Yeah? We should refrain from that, and if we see someone doing that, we should, put the, like they say, you put your teacher hat or da'wah hat, you call it da'wah hat, and just advise them in a good way. So sometimes we encounter a situation which involves fitna, or al-fitn, and we have to be careful of what we say. There are people who will take advantage of the situation, and they may say things which may worsen the situation. When there is a fitna, people are in a panic and might believe anything. That's why we have to be careful of what we say, because it may add to the people's fear or problems. What we should do is to help by saying positive things that will give the people hope, to uplift them and motivate them to face the problems and not to take it worse. So that was the part related to the first part of the hadith. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. Whoever believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let him say something beneficial or remain quiet. The second part, ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم جاره. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم جاره. Let the one who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the last day be generous to his neighbor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that in the Quran, Surah An-Nisa, do good to parents, relatives, orphans, the poor, the neighbors who is near of kin, the neighbors who is a stranger, the companion by your side, the wayfarer that you meet, and those slaves whom your right hand possesses. In one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, Jibreel kept advising me concerning the neighbor. And this is a bit of a hadith of life. Jibreel, ما زال جبريل يوصيني بالجار حتى ظننت أنه سيورثه. The Prophet ﷺ said, Jibreel kept advising me concerning the neighbor to the point that I thought that he would inherit from his neighbor. Meaning that, Jibreel kept advising the Prophet ﷺ about his neighbor to look after him, and to the point that the Prophet ﷺ thought that the neighbor would be at the level of his children, not the Prophet's children, because the Prophet's la yuwarrathun, that no one inherits the Prophets, but just the knowledge and the Deen that they left behind. But in general, the hadith has a metaphor referring to the strong tie between neighbors, and how they have so much right upon you, to the point that the Prophet thought that the neighbor would inherit each other. When only those who inherit each other who? Immediate family. Yes. Inheritance, this is another big subject. inheritance. Yeah, only the immediate family. Yeah. So this is to bring the status of your neighbor to the status of your immediate family. Is something, big something you need to take care of, like you take care of your own family. Okay. Another hadith recorded by the Prophet ﷺ saying that the person who does not have complete faith is the one from whose affairs the neighbor is not safe. Okay, again. The person who does not have complete faith is the one from whose affairs the neighbors is not safe. Meaning that if your neighbor is not safe from you, from your action, that means you don't have a complete faith. Your iman is naqis, is incomplete. من لا يأمن جاره بوائقه. Okay? So your iman is not complete when your neighbor is not feeling safe next to you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In order to keep, let's say we are in Australia, we have different neighbors like the Christians and others. So, in order to keep the relationship between your neighbors, and it comes like festive season, like Christmas.
I knew you were going to ask me this question. I had a feeling.
So
but I didn't want to jump to the conclusion.
You give them a gift just to keep the relationship between neighbors, but not the intention of celebrating Christmas.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's their celebration, but
that's a tough one. My approach towards it, I tend to, of course, you can't say Merry Christmas but that doesn't mean you don't be kind to them or anything. You need to explain to them. I do explain to my neighbor that the reason we don't do that because we don't celebrate, and they actually okay with that because they approached my house one day and they came and just put some presents, gifts. I said, thank you for your gifts, but we don't really do that. And then the next day, we sent gift to them to apologize for the situation, and they completely okay with it. We invited them over after, but just try to avoid the season. Maybe you can pack up and just go camp somewhere. As a way to escape. But if you explain things at the beginning, people are very open-minded here. It's not the way we think. Australian people are very open-minded, and they actually would love to learn more about our Deen. So in a way, you explaining your Deen, there's nothing wrong with that, and they appreciate it. They're okay, completely okay. This is as far as I know, out of my experience.
I think there is a way around this normally that we do is like if you ask them about how their holiday is or what they have done in their holiday and how they're feeling. So instead of just looking into the Christmas as Christmas, just it's a holiday.
So. How was your Christmas break? What did you do? You can ask it. There's nothing wrong with that. But the way you utter it, the way you say it. The word Merry Christmas is just against our Deen. You can't say it. So if you want to work your way around it, you can. Okay, Sheikh, tell us. I give you the fatwa. But this is our, part of our Deen, our da'wah. We need to be kind, and I think one of the Sahaba, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, when he used to make food or carry or anything, he made it bigger so he can invite send to his neighbor. So food is a beautiful way of communicating with other people. And Australian love try any type of food. You offer them, what is your favorite dish in your cuisine?
This is about.
Your favorite one? Shall I ask the sister? What's his favorite one?
He cook, but not me.
Oh, he cook! Allah Akbar! You like cooking?
I have to, I guess.
I like cooking too. I cook a lot of them. If I have time. So you can just invite them to your favorite cuisine. Alright, the last part of the hadith before we finish, inshallah, we're about to finish. So this is the good part, like, you be good to them. But what about if they are bad to you? How you react? We're still at that part again. So this is a good question as well to all of us. If they're bad to you, what you should do? You be patient.
Try to relax.
You be patient. You can't respond in the same way. Okay? So we should be patient with our neighbor even if they cause annoyance to us. Because in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that there are 3 types of people whom Allah loves. One of them is a person who has a neighbor who causes him harm or annoyance, but he remains patient and tolerant to the neighbor. So the more tolerant and the more patient, the more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love you more for that. There's a hadith about it. So in both ways you have to be very careful. The last part of the hadith regards to guest. Yukrimu, like the guest. The guest mentioned in this last part of this hadith generally interpreted as a traveling visitor who have come to stay for a short while. One hadith of Rasulullah states, whoever believes in Allah and the last day, be generous to his guest. His special gift to the guest is 1 day and night. The guest is to be entertained for 3 days. So the guest has actually a right, especially those traveling from long distance and trying to stay, and you offer them shelter and a bed to stay, to sleep, and food. So they have a right for 3 days. Okay? And this is like a pretty much compulsory right. Whatever is beyond that, it is an act of charity. So if they're going to stay longer, you get more reward as an act of charity. It is not lawful for a guest to stay with his host to the extent that he makes things difficult for him. This is the advice of Rasulullah to balance things. Some people could stay, and make themselves home. He comes to stay. You're calling his family, you come in. So it's going to be difficult. So the Prophet ﷺ warned that person, in order to return the favor, you don't make things difficult for the guest, for the host. For the host, you're a guest. You've been offered 3 days, 3 nights. You've been offered more than that, and you need to have
etiquette.
Some etiquette, and you should try your best to leave, so don't make things difficult, because we know it's a stress. It's extra responsibility when the guests come to your house. You need to make sure the house is clean, food in the fridge, cook for them 3 meals a day, entertain them, take them out for shopping, doing all of these things, and it's not easy. Alright, so you stay, unless the host wants you to stay longer, then it's okay. Okay? So it is a recommendation or advice to the guest not to take advantage of a generous host. Okay? So regarding this ruling, the majority of the scholars are of the opinion that hosting in general is recommended, mustahab, and not obligatory, wajib, even though it is great and noble act. According to many scholars, the recommended act of hosting does not extend to evildoers or bad people. But some great scholars of today say that we should entertain even evildoers. And I actually agree with that. And in fact has a good effect. And we've seen that throughout CCTV cameras, if you know what I mean. Like on the news channels, some people come to rob a shop, and the person treated them in a good way. Or some people come to rob a house, and people were generous to them. Remember, I think recently we heard that a Muslim owner of a petrol station, and a thief who came to rob his petrol station, he pointed a gun at him, and then the man, he said, I can take whatever, I can offer you food and things like that, and the man let him go. And this person came after and thanked him, and he apologized for what he did. So sometimes, being good to someone who's not good to you is a good way to respond to unkindness with kindness. Some scholars says that you should entertain even evildoers. This is because we are good Muslims, and when we host them, we be good to them, we might influence them and cause them to change the people. We should be very cautious if we were to host these sorts of people. We should only do so if we know there will not be any harm that may inflict us. Hosting evildoers would be following the general principle of fiqh, which allows us to tolerate the minor harm, allowing evildoers to stay with us in order to obtain major benefits. Right, this is actually an Islamic jurisprudence, it's one of usul al-fiqh. Okay, influencing them into becoming a good Muslim. So there might be harm from them staying around, but there's also great benefit from them staying around because you teach them other good things, and you will influence their way of thinking, their way of interacting with others, and they could change to become a better Muslim, a better person. So the conclusion for tonight, this hadith teaches us the proper manners pertaining to speech and entertaining guests. Following the advice given by the Prophet ﷺ will lead to a more peaceful life and harmonious Islamic society in this life, and attaining the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter. That's what we all need. Right? اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الاحياء منهم والاموات انك مولانا سميع قريب مجيب دعوانا ورافع الدرجات. اللهم ارفع مقتك وقبلك عنا. اللهم نصر علينا بذنوبنا من يخافك فينا ويرحمنا واخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته.